Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting inlingua grammar club. As you all know, inlingua is a leading language institute where we speak from the day you start, and our friendly trainers encourage you to speak maximum in class so that you can learn the language well and you can get completely fluent in the language. So please do check out our website, that is www.inlinguanewdelhi.com. You can also call at the numbers of our office and you can check. As of today, let's start. The topic for today, as you all know, is the past continuous tense. Let me tell you all, this is a very easy topic. It's something we use in our everyday life, but we must know how to use the past continuous tense in the correct way. Only then will we be able to fluently speak in this tense. So let's start. As always, if you face any issues with the audio or the video, please do send a chat message, or you can also raise your hand when I ask you so that I am able to help you out further. So let's start. Here we go. I hope you are able to see my screen, all of you. No, I don't think. One second. Let me start again. Yes. Are you able to see my screen? I hope all of you are able to see my screen. All right. Okay, so here we are with the past tense. Just a moment. Just a moment, please. Okay, right. So what is the past continuous tense? Let's see the definition. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. Right now, my screen is showing the definition, sorry, of the past continuous tense. I hope you are able to see it. So as you can see, to show what somebody was doing at a particular time in the past, we use the past continuous tense. Meaning, we basically use this tense to talk about an action and what was happening at a particular time or what someone was doing continuously in the past at a particular time. Now, how do we make the sentences in this tense? Sorry, as you can see on the screen, you have was and were plus the ing form of the action word. To understand this better, let us go further. Okay, here we have the past continuous, past progressive tense. Let's look at some of the subjects. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. This is the subject. Now, along with the subject, because it's the past continuous, we need to use the past tense of was or were. So, sorry, past tense of is and am and are, which is was or were. So you say I was, plus you use an ing word, any action word. For example, I was studying yesterday. You were sleeping last night. He was running in the park. She was reading a book. We were talking in the class. You were teaching students. They were listening to music. Now, listening, teaching, talking, running, these are all action words with ing. But how do we start the sentence? We use I was, you were, he was, she was, it was. For example, it was raining yesterday. It was raining yesterday. Here in this sentence, we are talking about the weather. That's why we use it. It was raining yesterday. We were talking, you were eating, they were sleeping, etc. We can make hundreds of sentences, the same format. All right. Now, better understanding of the structure of this sentence. You have he, which is the subject. You have was, or the were. In this case, it's was, which is the past tense of the verb be. And you have reading, which is the verb ing form. Verb is read. When you convert it to ing, it becomes reading. Okay. I hope you understand the structure. Now, in every kind of tense, we have three types of sentences. We have the positive, the negative, and the questions. So, let us look at the positive or the affirmative sentences. He was traveling to Venice is a positive sentence. Now, let's look at the definition on which is given here. The past continuous tense expresses the action or task that was ongoing in the past. We cannot determine or we cannot understand or know when the action started or when the action finished. But we know that at a particular time, that action was taking place. It was happening. Okay. So let's see. He was traveling to Venice. Now, if you look at the negative, he was not traveling to Venice is a negative. Was he traveling to Venice? I will discuss the negative and the questions later. For now, let's look at the positive sentences. Some examples. I was playing. You were playing. She was playing. He was playing. We were playing. They were playing. All of these are left hand side subjects. Was and were is the past of the form verb be. Playing is the action word with ing. All right. Now, some more sentences. I was singing on stage. She was playing football. It was going, or it means you can also use it for a pet. My pet was going on the road. It was going for a bath or for a walk. You were reading a novel. We were starting the class. They were writing their homework. Many sentences with simple structures. I was, he was, she was, it was, you were, we were, they were, along with the ing word. All right. Another example. I was living in Germany. You were living in Germany. He was living in Delhi. We were living in Germany. They were living in Germany. According to the subject, the was and were changes. And then you can put any action word you like. Okay. Some more examples. I was going to the market. You were doing your homework. He was playing in the park. She was fighting with me. We were reading the book. They were telling a story. You were doing some work. All right. Okay. Neeraj, I'll come to you later. Now, we did the positive sentences. Now we will come to the negative sentences. Now, what is the change in the negative sentence from the positive sentence? In the negative sentence, you use the word not. Like in the positive, she was sleeping on the bed. You simply add the word not between was and were and the ing word. So as you can see in the example, she was not sleeping in the bed. That means you are using a negative sentence. You are trying to say something which includes the word not. Okay. How do we form the past continuous negative sentence? You basically have the subject like they, was or were. Over here we use were because we are using they. They were not enjoying, present participle, meaning ing word, ing form of the action. They were not enjoying the meeting. This white part in the end is the object or it's the remainder of the sentence. Okay, so they were not enjoying the meeting is a negative sentence. Now, were not or was not can also become wasn't. Were not can also become weren't. So we can use the short forms. I wasn't doing anything. You weren't playing football. He wasn't fighting with me. You weren't reading the book. They weren't telling the truth. Now here you simply have short forms of the was not and were not, and many ing words like going, doing, seeing, playing, fighting, telling, reading. Some more examples. I was not playing. You were not playing. She was not playing. He was not playing. We were not playing. They were not playing. Now, how do you convert them to short forms? I wasn't playing. You weren't playing. She wasn't playing. He wasn't playing. We weren't playing. They weren't playing. Short forms. All right. Let's talk about the questions. Now, when we make a question, the was and the were come before the subject. In a regular sentence, the subject comes the first. I was sleeping. But when you want to make a question, you simply take the was or the were and put it in the beginning. Was I sleeping in the class? Were you talking to your friend? Now here we are simply asking a yes or no question. So the answer will be either a yes or a no. Let's look at some examples. When the answers are a yes or a no. Was I playing? Yes, I was is a positive answer. No, I wasn't is a negative answer. Were you playing anything? Yes, I was. No, you weren't. Or no, I wasn't. Was she playing or he playing? Yes, she was. No, she wasn't. Were they playing? Yes, they were. No, they weren't. But apart from these yes and no questions, we also have the regular questions starting with the WH words. For example, who, what, when, where, why, how. Who was I telling the story to? What was I doing? Who was I looking at? What were you eating? When were you reading? Where was he? Where was he crying? Why was she cooking? How was it eating? How were you sleeping? Why were we cooking? Where were they skiing? When was he speaking or reading? You can ask a regular question and basically you get a yes and a no answer. Okay. In the previous one, and here you get a regular answer. For example, if someone asks you, why were you cooking? Or why were you crying? I was crying because I was sad. Now that is an open answer. It's a full descriptive answer. But if someone asks you a question starting with was and were, like, were you crying? The answer generally is a yes or a no. Okay. Now, this is the simple structure of the past continuous tense. But there are more aspects or more details that we must know in this particular tense. So let's look at those details like time expressions or time indicators. Let's say at a particular time in the past, at 5 o'clock yesterday, or when my mother came home, that was a particular time. The whole evening yesterday, the whole duration of the evening is also a time. The entire morning yesterday or the full morning yesterday is also a time. From 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock yesterday is also a time. Okay. Now, when you want to describe what you were doing at a particular time in the past, you need to include that time. in your sentence. For example, say what you were doing or what were you doing at the following times. At 5 p.m. yesterday, what were you doing? So if someone asks you, what were you doing at 5 p.m. yesterday? You can give any answer. I was watching TV at 5 p.m. yesterday. What were you doing 2 hours ago? I was sleeping 2 hours ago. What were you doing at 11 p.m. last Sunday? I was watching a movie. What were you eating at 9 p.m. the day before yesterday? I was eating my dinner at 9 p.m. yesterday or day before yesterday. Where were you going 1 hour ago or an hour ago? I was going to the market an hour ago. But if you notice, they are all questions related to activities, continuous activities in the past tense. In the past, whereby you are using the ing word to describe the continuous nature of that activity. That means it was an ongoing activity. It was not a one moment activity. It was a long action and it was continuing for some time. The action was happening for some time. Again, a quick recap of how we create this past continuous sentence. We have the subject plus was and were plus the verb with ing and the remaining part of the sentence. Let's look at the example. She was reading a book at midnight. She is the subject. Was is the past of be. Reading is the ing verb. And a book at midnight becomes the remainder of the sentence or the object. Now, when do we use the past continuous tense? We will discuss 3 to 4 situations where we can use this tense. Let's look at the situations as to where we need to use this tense. Now, here we can see 4 situations in which we must use the past continuous tense. In the first situation, we use this tense when something happened for a long time in the past. Example, I was waiting for you for 2 hours. Now, 2 hours is a long time. This waiting happened in the past, and that is why we are using past continuous. I was waiting for you for almost 2 hours. The second usage, we use this when some long action was stopped or interrupted by another action. Okay? For example, while I was watching TV, the telephone rang. While I was watching TV is a long action. The telephone rang. There was a sound on the telephone. That is a short action. So this I was watching TV was interrupted or stopped by another short action. This is also a case where we use past continuous. In the third scenario, we use it when there are 2 actions in one sentence. For example, I was studying when he was making dinner. I'm sorry. I was studying is one action. He was making dinner is another action. Both the actions are long. How do we connect them? With the past continuous, in the past continuous tense, using the word when and while. I will be talking about these words in detail. But basically, the third usage of past continuous tense is when there are 2 actions in one sentence. Okay. The fourth usage is we use the past continuous tense when some repetitive action happened in the past. For example, she was constantly coming late. He was always shouting in class. My brother was always traveling, when he was younger. Now, all this is the past repeat actions. There is something which is being repeated. So let us look at these actions one by one. Firstly, we use the past continuous tense to tell when something happened for a long time. Example, I already gave you. I was waiting for you for almost 2 hours. Now let's look at some other examples. Explanation for this. Let's say this girl Sue started swimming at 9 a.m. She finished swimming at 10:30 a.m. But what was she doing between these two timings? She was swimming. So we can say Sue was swimming between 9 and 10:30 a.m. or Sue was swimming from 9 o'clock till 10:30 a.m. But if someone asks, what was Sue doing at 10 o'clock? We simply say, Sue was swimming at 10 o'clock. Sue was swimming at 10 o'clock. Meaning, at a particular time in the past, she was in the middle of this long action, swimming. Okay. Now, in the past continuous, an action sometimes, so this is how you make the first usage. The second usage is the interruption of a long activity by another activity. Here we must use a specific time sometimes. For example, at midnight, at 11 a.m. This is a graph which shows the same interruption. Meaning, this red line shows you the activity which was happening. It started at a point and it finished at a point in the past. This blue cross shows you that some other activity interrupted or stopped or happened when the other action was taking place. That is the red action. Let's look at some examples. Last night at 6 p.m., I was eating dinner. At midnight, we were still driving through the desert. At midnight and 6 p.m. are times. We are talking about what was happening at that particular time. Now here, there are no two actions. The action is only one. But what is the interruption? The time is the interruption. You can say at midnight yesterday, I was watching a movie. So I was watching a movie is a continuous action. What is the detail you are adding? At midnight. That is how you make such sentences. At 3 o'clock, I was lying on the beach. Now, this girl went to the beach at 2 p.m. and she left the beach at 4 p.m. But if someone asks her, what were you doing at 3 o'clock? I was lying at the beach. I was enjoying myself at the beach. Okay. Some other activities in the same format. Derek was swimming at 6 a.m. yesterday. Mandy was feeding her dog at 4 o'clock yesterday. Sam and Jess were having dinner at 8 p.m. last night. Now, were having dinner, was feeding her dog, was swimming are all past continuous actions, right? And we are giving a timeline for them. 6 a.m., 4 o'clock yesterday, 8 p.m. last night. Okay, some more examples. I was playing badminton at this time yesterday. Meaning if someone asks you, what were you doing at this time yesterday? You can share the activity. I was playing badminton at this time yesterday, or I was cooking dinner at this time yesterday. She was cycling at 9 a.m. yesterday. They were playing table tennis at 6:30 p.m. last evening or last night. Again, reminder of the structure of the sentence. Was and were plus verb with ing. Okay. Another example. Simon was playing football at 3 p.m. yesterday. The children were going to school at 8 a.m. yesterday. Now, an important note that you must, or important thing that you must know. I'm sorry. In the simple past, a specific time is used to show when an action started and finished. But in the past continuous, a specific time only stops an action or interrupts an action. We only use timing in the past continuous to show that at that time the action was still continuing. It was not over. It was not finished. Right? Okay. Now, examples of these two tenses, simple past versus past continuous. Last night at 6 p.m., I ate dinner. This is a simple past sentence. But I started eating at 6 p.m. or I was eating at 6:15 p.m. is a past continuous tense sentence. Last night at 6 p.m. I was eating dinner. That means I started eating dinner before 6 p.m. I was in the process of eating dinner at 6 p.m. Other examples, I was driving home at 11:45, meaning you were in the process of driving home. You started driving earlier or before 11:45. I arrived home at 12:15. I arrived home is simple past tense. The action is over. I arrived home at 12:15. Another example, what happened between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m.? At 5:39 yesterday, I was sitting by the window. At 5:39 yesterday, my wife was doing the hoovering. Hoovering means the vacuum cleaning. At 5:39 yesterday, my children were doing that homework, were doing their homework. And there was something else that happened at 5:39. There was an accident that happened at 5:39. There was a car crash that happened at 5:39. Apart from this car crash, but at this time, there were many other activities going on. I was sitting by the window, my wife was doing the vacuuming, my children were doing their homework, and also an accident took place at 5:39 yesterday. So many actions were happening at the same time. Now, let us look at past continuous. The next type of usage or the next method to use it. We use it when there are two actions in one sentence. For example, I was studying while he was making dinner. I was studying is one action. He was making dinner is another action. So we use past continuous to join two such actions. When there are two actions that were happening at the same time in the past. For example, two ongoing activities or two continuous activities. One ongoing activity and there is another ongoing activity which is parallelly happening with the first activity. This is the way we describe two actions which were happening together in the past. Okay. They also are called parallel actions. They happened at the same time or they were happening at the same time. When you use the past continuous with the two actions in the same sentence, it expresses the idea that both the actions were happening at the same time and the actions are parallel. For example, I was playing computer games and my wife. The baby was crying and his sister was playing hide and seek. I was having lunch and the girls at the next table were gossiping. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. So all these have two actions happening at the same time. Okay, now we come to the word while. But before this, I would like to ask if there are any questions till now related to this topic. Any questions related to whatever we covered in this topic till now? If you have any questions, please do ask me. Neeraj, I hope you are able to understand now. Neeraj Bhandari, you sent a message. I don't understand anything. I hope you are able to understand now. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay. Let me proceed to the next thing, which we already heard, the word while. But how to use this word correctly? We must learn that. So we are going to use the word while now. How to use while? We use while, we use the word while to link, to join two continuous actions that happened at the same time in the past. We use the past continuous tense for both the actions. Please note, if you want to join two actions in the past which were happening together, you need to use the past continuous tense to describe both these actions. Let's say, for example, Tom and Mary were doing their homework between 5 and 7. This is one action that was happening. Another action was happening. Mom, that means their mom was cooking the dinner. Their mom was cooking the dinner. So, how do you make this sentence? Tom and Mary were doing their homework while mom was cooking the dinner. Tom and Mary were doing the homework while mom was cooking the dinner. Here we are joining these two sentences using the word while, and both of them are using ing or past continuous tense. Another example, Tom was eating. At some point between 5 p.m. and Tom was eating, and at the same time, during the same time, Tom was watching TV. So Tom was eating while he was watching TV, meaning he was watching TV and he was eating at the same time. Tom was eating while he was watching TV. You can also say Tom was eating while watching TV. That's also correct. Now, some more examples. Two actions were happening at the same time in the past. John was drawing a picture while he was smiling. Drawing, smiling. Past continuous. Was drawing, was smiling. John was drawing a picture while he was smiling. So this is how you join these kind of sentences. Okay. The women were chatting while the man was eating. The women were chatting while the man was eating. Okay. Now, some more examples. I was studying while he was making dinner. I was studying while he was making dinner. Now you can also start the sentence with while. While Ellen was reading, Tim was watching television. We started the sentence with while instead of putting the while in the middle. But there is a rule for this. If you want to start the sentence with while, you need to put a comma in the middle of the two actions. While Ellen was reading, comma, Tim was watching television. Tim was watching television. While Ellen was reading, comma, Tim was watching television. They were eating dinner, comma, discussing their plans and having a good time. Now you are talking about three actions by the same people. You can also use the word and instead of while. They were eating dinner while discussing their plans and they were having a good time. Okay. Now, this was the usage of the second usage of past continuous when you joined two parallel actions. But sometimes you also use past continuous when you have some long action that was interrupted by another action. And how do we join these two actions? By using the word when. Let's look at the example. The telephone rang when I was watching TV, or I was watching TV when the telephone rang. When the telephone rang, comma, I was watching TV. All of these are correct. Use the past continuous to indicate that a longer action in the past was interrupted by a shorter action. The interruption is usually another action in the simple past, not in the past continuous. Let's look at some examples. We often use the past continuous and past simple tense in the same sentence. We do this when we want to talk about a shorter activity that happened during a longer activity. past. Same chart. Longer activity is the red, longer activity is the red line, and shorter action is the blue cross. That is the cross, that is the action which interrupted the long action in the past tense. This man is working on the computer and the bell rang. I was working on the computer when the bell rang. That brings us to when. We use when to link a long action and a short action. We use the past continuous tense for the long action. We use the past tense for the short action. For example, something funny happened when I was shopping for office supplies today. I was shopping for office supplies is a long action. Something funny happened is a short action. If you look at the chart below, number 2 is the long action, continuous action. Number 1 interrupted number 2, meaning number 1 action happened in the middle of the number 2 action. Something funny happened when I was shopping for office supplies today. One more point you must notice here. We are using the word when before the ing or the past continuous sentence. This means we can use the when word in place of while also. Wherever you use the word while, you can also use when. But you can only use when for simple past activities. You cannot use the word while for simple past activities. For example, I cannot say something, I was shopping for office supplies today while something funny happened. You cannot use while in front of happened because it's a simple past, not a past continuous. One more example. Tim was doing his homework between 5 and 7 when his mom came home at 6:30. Tim was doing his homework when his mother came home, meaning the homework action was happening when his mother came home. Mother came home is a short action. Tim was doing homework is a long action. Tim was taking a shower when the doorbell rang. Tim was taking a shower when the doorbell rang. Again, when is joining was taking a shower. Tim was taking a shower and it joins the other part of the sentence. The doorbell rang. Both these sentences are joined or linked by when. But we cannot say Tim was taking a shower while the doorbell rang. We can't use while before rang because it is a simple past. Now one activity is interrupted by something else. The same diagram or the picture. I was playing computer games when someone knocked at the door. I was playing computer games when someone knocked at the door. I was cleaning when I broke my vase. I was cleaning when I broke my vase. I was having a shower when the telephone rang. A ball landed on Jane when she was sunbathing or while she was sunbathing, because sunbathing is a long action. A ball landed on Jane when she was sunbathing. A ball landed on Jane while she was sunbathing. Both are correct. Look at the first sentence. I was having a shower when the telephone rang. But you cannot say, I was having a shower while the telephone rang. Telephone ringing is a sudden action. It is not a long action. You can say, the telephone rang while I was having a shower. That you can do. Okay. So, some more examples. I was cooking when the telephone rang. There was a power cut when Joanna and Ted were watching TV. Teresa was eating dessert when her husband came home. Both these actions are joined by when. I was watching TV when she called. Another example. Sam hurt himself yesterday. But when exactly did he hurt himself? when jumping over the vaulting horse. A vaulting horse is a piece of wood like this, which we use in the horse racing or the games. Sam hurt himself when he was jumping over the vaulting horse. So shorter action is Sam hurt himself. Longer action is he was jumping over the vaulting horse. And we are joining this with when. You can also put while with before the ing word. You can also say Sam hurt himself while he was jumping over the horse or the vaulting horse. Okay. Cut herself, peel an apple. Nancy cut herself when she was peeling an apple. You can also say Nancy cut herself while she was peeling an apple. But you cannot say when Nancy was peeling an apple while she cut herself. No. You need to use when before the simple past. Some more examples. They were watching TV when I arrived. We were playing football when it suddenly rained or when it suddenly started to rain. Now, some more examples. When I saw you, I was walking home. You can also say, I saw you when I was walking home. You can also say, I was walking home when I saw you. You can start in whatever way you want. Another example. When the phone rang, I was doing my homework. When the water stopped running, I was having a shower. When it started to rain, we were playing outside. When you arrived, I was making breakfast. I was doing something. It was a continuous action. I was studying when she called. I was carefully picking up the snake when it bit me. Now, if you notice in the previous page, all the sentences are starting with when. That means you can start sentences with when as well. Okay. Another example, a long action was happening and then a short action happened in the past. Use the computer breakdown. Mr. Lee was using the computer when the computer broke down. When the computer broke down. He was already doing a long activity of using the computer when it broke down. A long action was happening and then a short action happened. Grandma fell on the floor when Mary was skipping. You can also say while Mary was skipping because skipping is an ing word. It's an ing action. Grandma fell on the floor when Mary was skipping or while Mary was skipping. Now, what is the difference between these two? I've already told you that, but still, let's look at it. The use of when and while. Look at the following sentences. When I read, she sang. When I was cooking dinner, I broke a glass, or while I was cooking dinner, I broke a glass. I was cooking dinner when I broke a glass. I was going home when I met Mary. Or you can also say, I met Mary while I was going home. Now, I was cooking dinner when I burnt my arm, correct? I burnt my arm while I was cooking dinner. While I was cooking dinner is correct because cooking is an ing word. You're using while before it. We can also use while in the second sentence, but while must be followed by the past continuous tense. It has to be followed by the past continuous. I was cooking dinner while I burnt my arm is wrong because burnt my arm is simple past and not past continuous. But you can use the first, you can say, I burnt my arm while I was cooking dinner. Or when I was cooking dinner is also correct. Okay, some more examples. I was watching television when she rang me. I was watching television when she rang me. My sister cut her finger while she was chopping some onions. Please note, while is used before was chopping, before the ing or the past continuous. Some examples. I was studying when she called. While I was studying, she called. With ing, before ing, you can use when and while both. But before the past tense, like she called, simple past, you can only use when. Okay, some more examples. I was watching TV when she called. When the phone rang, she was writing a letter. While we were having a picnic, it started to rain. Actions happening together. Sally was working when Joe had the car accident. While John was sleeping last night, someone stole his car. Okay. Now, examples, some more examples. He was drawing the old man out of the ditch. He was writing an interesting story. John and Sarah were attending a meeting. Was he living in this house? It's a question. I was not reciting the national anthem. Negative sentence. John was traveling to Venice. Positive sentence. She was driving the car. Positive sentence. They were eating mangoes. Positive sentence. The naughty boy was not teasing the old man. Negative sentence. Was the hero fighting with cannibals? Yes and no answer. They were not singing or signing the agreement. They were not signing the agreement. All right. Again, a recap. Interrupted actions in the past, like they were waiting for the train when I spoke to them, or they were waiting for the train when I spoke to them. Please note there is a line over here. Stative verbs are not used in progressive. Stative verbs are like, love, and understand. I was liking the burger. You can't use that. You can simply say I liked the burger while I was eating it. I was loving my new shoes. No, I loved my new shoes. So stative verbs cannot be changed to ing. But regular examples of these when and while sentences. They were waiting for the train when I spoke to them. My mom was always complaining about my room when she got there. I was studying while my brother was watching TV. Last night at 6 p.m., I was eating dinner. When I came to the school bell was ringing. Many students were running towards the garden. Teachers were going out from the classrooms. So there are three actions together in this sentence. I was working in the garden all day. Regular sentence. She was preparing the meal all the morning. All day, all the morning. Length of action. Story background. When you give a story background, then also you can use past continuous. While I was driving to work yesterday, I heard a sound. While I was walking to office yesterday, I met my friend. You give a story background with past continuous. I was upset because I was leaving this place that morning. You're talking about a past arrangement or a past situation. I was upset because I was leaving this place that morning. And just a quick reminder, the time markers are when, while, always, constantly, at that time, in those days, all day, all the morning, all evening, 4 hours at this time. Like yesterday at this time, I was sleeping. My mother was constantly pushing me to do homework when I was a kid. They were calling me at that time. When you were sleeping, the doorbell rang. I was cooking while my brother was watching TV. So these are many time indicators that you can use in any way to make a sentence in the past continuous. Some more examples. It was raining yesterday evening. I was learning German last year. Yesterday evening and last year are time indicators. I was crying while he was laughing. Two ing actions connected with while. I was washing the dishes when the phone rang. One ing action and one past simple. As she was reading the book, Alice came. Or when she was reading the book, Alice came. I was not learning German last year. Negative sentence. She was not crying while he was laughing. Negative sentence using while. He was not working when I called him. Negative sentence using when. Was I washing the dishes when the phone rang? Regular question using the word when. Was she reading the book while he was sleeping? Or was she reading the book when they came? Yes and no answer. Yes, she was reading the book when they came. Or yes, when they came, she was reading the book. You can use any of these sentences. And the answer for this last question is obviously in the yes and the no. All right. So today's topic was a quick topic, and I hope that you understood the past continuous tense. Please let me know any questions that you have, confusions with when and while, anything that you did not understand today, or how to use these phrases or these words when you're talking about the past actions that were continuous in nature. They were happening for us for a period of time. Anybody with any questions? Okay. Deepti, past habit. Let me see if I can. Just a moment, Deepti. Are you talking about this particular? Are you talking about this particular screen, Deepti? Please let me know if you're talking about this screen. The next one. Here, this one. Okay, stative verbs. Raksha, stative verbs. Okay, stative verbs are verbs where you cannot put an ing after the action, after this verb. Like, for example, like, love. You can't say, I was liking my, no, sorry, I'm sorry. We cannot get it. We cannot have a recording of this. We cannot share the recording. Okay, coming back to Raksha. Raksha, for example, if the word is like, you cannot use it with ing. You can't say, I was liking the movie in the cinema hall. I liked the movie. With like, you cannot put ing. That's why like is a stative verb. Love. I was loving my new dress. It's not correct. I loved my new dress that my father got me or my sister got me. So love is a stative verb. Like is also a stative verb. I was understanding the chapter. I understood the chapter. You cannot use ing with understanding. You can use the word understanding to describe a person. Like she is a very understanding person, or my teacher is a very understanding person, or my mother is a very understanding person. Okay. Feelings, correct. You're right. While so in the middle I live, but how am I going to look at the forefront? I'm sorry, Neeraj, I'm not able to understand your query. Neeraj, is this a query or is this a sentence? Yes, Raksha, it's correct. I was feeling good. It's right. Anybody else with any questions or queries? Okay, I guess not. All right, thank you so much for attending the Grammar Club. I hope this topic is clear to you and that you enjoyed today's session. I'll meet you again and I'll see you again next Friday with another interesting topic. Good night and thank you. Okay, one person is asking something. Priya,